being said, I'm going to move us along with the program. Thank you for your time and attention. And I'm going to open up with one of our vocal New York leaders here, Mr. Milton Perez. Woo!
Greetings. Pardon me for being a little late, you know. We're here, I would say, to honor, that you remember. Hear me now? Mic check? Yeah. Let me introduce myself. Let me get into character. My name is Milton Perez. I'm from the Bronx, Puerto Rico. Yeah. I'm a leader in Vocal New York's Homelessness Union. Woo! And I spent over 5 years in the shelter system.
That ain't right.
I stopped counting at 5 years because the new folks coming into would not believe me, and some of those folks, you know, spent 3 or 4 years themselves. The systems that we deal with, whether it's the carceral system, foster care, shelter system, our broken system. It's not that people go through the cracks. The systems themselves are broken. For the past couple of years, I've read a couple of articles by David Brand of City Livers, Godlibist, basically letting people know, you know, how many people we lost due to homelessness in the city, whether out on the streets or in shelters, dying in hospitals. And when I first saw the numbers at 600, it shocked me. When it went to 800, it was just beyond belief. But this is what we're dealing with. The brother Jordan Neely joined those folks. You know, what I saw last week on a personal effect sickened me to my stomach. I'm a native New Yorker. Yeah. Like I said, I spent years in the shelter system, the projects, and this is something that is not acceptable. We see no kind of fights, no kind of situations, but most of us will, you know, intervene. We'll stop. You know, hey, you're choking them. You know, you intervene, you separate them. Absolutely. So just not to watch it, but then just to see the reaction of a lot of reporters and trolls or whatever, the inhumanity.
They're in complicity with it.
Most definitely. So I thank y'all, thank the folks here who have spoken up, you know, bringing some remembering Jordan, his humanity, which is at the end of the day, that's what we all are. You know, people, you know, speak about, you know, how what's your experience, you know, who's in the shelter, you know, it's your brothers and sisters. You know, people you went to high school with, you know, people that couldn't afford the rent, families, children. Thank you. You're welcome to. And some of y'all, because I know there's a lot of, you know, millionaires in waiting, but a lot of us, you know, have issued real paycheck or two from ending up in some sort of shelter or asking for social services. So when we fight, we're fighting for ourselves. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So all these questions by reporters that don't understand, you know, a homeless person is your neighbor at the end of the day. Could be your neighbor.
Yeah.
I recognize a lot of y'all who've been fighting for years. You know, well, 3 years ago, Selena introduced me, visited the shelter, and let us know what's been going on. I had no idea that people outside the shelter knew what was going on and that y'all been fighting. So I don't know all y'all names. I know some of the orgs, vocal, Med Council neighbors together, Safety Net, PBAs, Make the Road, Cuff, that I see the pictures from 5-10 years ago. So it's appreciated. Even though some of the changes are small, you know, it takes time to make changes. You definitely have. It took me years to get out of this, and I had to do it on my own. I had to apply for stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's difficult. For those that, you know, that are talking about mental health, you know, want to be psychologists or psychiatrists, remember, if you're into the healing arts, number one is do no harm. Yeah. Do no harm. Those that want to be police, you know, detectives and such, protect and serve.
Yeah.
But protect the sanctity of human life. And serve justice, peace, and equality. Thank you.
We need
My check. Okay.
Okay, y'all, I'm back again. I just want to read a very quick anecdote from one of our homelessness union leaders, Ms. Keith. She thought it very important to share her words and her experience with you all. Ms. Keith is currently in a shelter for senior women with no way out. She worked in this country for 30 years. She worked in this country for 30 years and unfortunately came at a time where they closed the gates on becoming a citizen. And by the time DACA came around, she was too old. She has no way out. Here's her story. January 2019, I was dealing with an undiagnosed mental health issue, which led to a suicide attempt that landed me in a facility. 2 weeks into my treatment, I experienced a mental breakdown. Luckily for me, I had professionals around me with care. I now realized that had I suffered that breakdown outside of that facility, with care and compassion given to me, that my life could have been taken at any moment by a police officer or a vigilante, or someone who was untrained. All of us are dealing with mental health issues and are at the danger of losing our lives. Mix that with poverty, and the world would dismiss your existence because they'd rather get outside for the world to see. They'd rather not get outside for the world to see that you are someone. People like Jordan Neely would rather be outside because he knows that there's nowhere safe inside for him as well. Because that's how inequipped the shelters are. But I beg, is that how inequipped we are in society? So that being said, we are here and we're asking that you stop dehumanizing and dismissing the lives of homeless New Yorkers. And that was from Ms. Cassie Keith. That said, I'm going to move us right along with our next vocal leader, Mr. Will Robinson.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Will Robinson. Community and folk vocal New York. First and foremost, I want to take a second of silence for Mr. Neely and his family. Now, here we go. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'm coming to you first. Okay? I remember when you first came into office, you were talking about all this swag, New York swag. What you're doing now is not a New York swag, it's your swag. Okay? You turn your backs on people that really need you. All right? Talk about homelessness. All right? Number one, putting people in jail, incarcerating people in hospitals. That's not a home. That's not how you solve the homeless problem. First and foremost, just give me a second, y'all.
Take your time.
First and foremost, you fear. You put in fear, that stigma of fear throughout the city about you being homeless. You're a bad person. No. Just being homeless don't mean that you have a mental illness. Instead of having to fear, start to care. You cannot tell me you cannot put homes or put people in places. You cannot tell me that because you've been doing it for the past couple of months. I'm not saying any more about that. You got your own people, your own New Yorkers that living in New York that needs help, but you turn your back on them. I remember when it was cold, you raised your hand and said you're going to help people on the subway system. We're going to take them and put them in place. Yeah, that was good. I think you said 87. But let's keep it real. How long did they stay? How long were they there? You said about the 87. You didn't talk about how many left because of the conditions they had to live in the next day. All right? And I believe it's over 50, but no, you didn't hear it from me. All right? So if you're going to talk, if you're going to be about it, be about it. Too many people are dying. Right now, over 815.
That ain't right.
815 and counting. Vigilantes, they're out there. because of the stigma that they are putting behind people who doesn't have a place to stay. And that's not right. So Mr. Mayor comes straight to you and saying, instead of fear, start to care, really, and give these people what they really need to succeed. Because I can tell you one thing, if somebody wakes up when they could get up and take a shower, once up, they'll think of their day be a lot brighter than waking up in the subway station. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm going to ask folks to join me in this. Repeat after me. 815 and counting.
815 and counting.
815 and counting.
815 and counting.
Dead.
Dead.
Now I just want you to sit with that. That was just last year. That was just last year. Those experiencing homelessness dead in public spaces. And you've heard about all of the empty apartments.
Yep.
You've heard about all the office spaces.
Yep.
You heard about the vouchers that people have a hard time using. You also heard that every agency is getting defunded by the mayor. Make it make sense. So really start to have hard questions when he's in your face.
But who's not getting defunded?
That's right. And we cannot police our way out of housing, homelessness, the drug war. That's really a war on poor people. We cannot police our way. But we know that that ain't the plan for him anyway. That said, I'm going to have us move right along to our next Vocal New York leader, Mr. Neil Berry.
Louder? Yeah. My name is Neil Berry. I'm from Vocal New York, the voices of community activists and leaders. I'm gonna keep it real with you because we're talking about Penny here. Penny was white, and he's an ex-Marine, and he got a pass. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the pass that he get. Let's keep this real. This is about white supremacy and anti-blackness. We can go anywhere we want to go. It's a conversation. You're homeless, eviction, ex-convict. I'm a product of the system. I was directly impacted by being wrongfully convicted. Okay? So I know what I'm talking about when I step to this plate about this is white supremacy. I got busted on the war on drugs. They were picking us up in the street like water because we were black men and they didn't like it at the time. We were having success coming out of the civil rights movement. We can get a history lesson here today.
Come on!
Because we're talking about anti-blackness within our own community.
Come on,
everybody look around here and look at themselves and how we decorate our own people. Look at the fact that white people already, we know what they're going to do. But we ain't saying all of you, but we know the majority. But we know our own people step over our own people. We don't feed our own people. We don't do it. We got to get together. And that means everybody, whether you white, black, Spanish, Puerto Rican, anti-blackness is real. Let's get rid of the problem. I didn't come here for the fun and games. I'm not here to connect with anybody or be like. White supremacy is a false dichotomy. Get over it. It's a social construct called white superiority, and there ain't no such thing as black inferiority. Have a nice day.
Repeat after me. Anti-blackness.
Anti-blackness.
Kills. Anti-blackness.
Anti-blackness.
Kills. And we're all responsible. To check our anti-blackness.
Amen.
That said, I'm going to bring up, remember I'm talking about allies, but this is more than an ally. I want to bring up one of our co-conspirators, Pastor Zach Martin. Pastor Zach Martin.
All right. Say his name.
Jordan Neely.
Say his name.
Jordan Neely.
Say his name.
Jordan Neely.
What we can't forget in the midst of what's happening is this is a human life. This is not a statistic.
No,
This is not a story.
no.
This is not simply a victim. This is someone whose life was taken needlessly, unjustly. And so we stop for a moment and recognize that a young man lost his life for being poor in New York City. No other reason. Didn't have access to the resources to make sure that he could get the care he deserved and lost his life as a result. We have to stop and recognize what's actually happening in these moments. The second thing I want to remind everybody, my name is Pastor Zach Martin. I'm the pastor of Justice and Mercy at Next Step Community Church in downtown Brooklyn. We are a church with, for, and to the homeless folks in downtown Brooklyn. I have the privilege of knowing homeless people in downtown Brooklyn by name. They call me pastor. I am privileged to be able to be in a space of having homeless folks in downtown Brooklyn call me by name, because they know that we're a safe space for them when stuff goes down in our neighborhood. But here's what I'm also want to say story about. There's not enough faith leaders in this conversation. We can talk about being those who care for the poor. We got to be about it. We got to be about it. And so I am sorry that there aren't more imams and more rabbis and more pastors in the space. I know there are some. I want to recognize that there are some behind me today. But we should be littering the streets. We are the borough of churches in Brooklyn. And the fact that we don't have enough pastors making a fuss about Jordan Neely's life lost is a tragedy and a travesty to faith leaders in our city. And I'm here to say sorry for that. But I want to give some moral grounding quickly about this conversation, because again, I'm speaking to the choir, but we have to go out with a better story. And so a couple things that I'm just aware of as I'm doing homeless advocacy, those on the streets who are dealing with all kinds of issues, and we try and care for folks in the margins. The first thing we have to do is we go from this place and we have to see the folks around us. Just see them. Acknowledge them. I don't know how many times I've had to tell people that when I see a houseless individual, the first thing that they'll often tell me is, I'm just grateful that you see me. It's not enough for us to be about this when something like this happens and forget that we see the folks on the subways and on the streets when we leave this place. Ignore the issue when we leave. We have to see the folks around us. Acknowledge them. Hear them. The second thing we have to do is I'm just going to speak to my white brothers and sisters right now, because there's a different responsibility that we have in these moments. Because when Jordan Neely was being choked out on the train, there was a train full of folks that were standing by watching it happen. But before we make a fuss about it, we got to be about it. You best believe that I'd been on that train, I would have jumped on top of that individual. And I got 2 kids. I'm a single dad with 2 kids. We have to be about it. I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters, because if our black and brown brothers and sisters step in, we all know how that's going to go. We all know how that's going to go. To my white allies in this space, we have a responsibility with the privilege we have in those spaces to step in when our brothers and sisters are being treated unjustly.
Amen.
Because when one suffers, we all suffer. Lastly, I want to remind everybody that we have social responsibility, because again, a narrative is being told. Jordan Neely's character was assassinated the day after this happened. His criminal record, his homeless situation, his mental illness, all put on display. You know what? He was a human being asking for help, doing the best that he could do with what he had. We have to share in our social media platforms that we need a better narrative for our houseless brothers and sisters. They have stories. They have stories. They have struggles. And many of us that are standing here right now are a few $100s away from being in the same situation that Jordan Neely. So lest we think this is an issue that won't impact us, a surprise bill will show up and we're going to be about it. So we have to share a better story on our social media platforms to make sure that our houseless brothers and sisters are being treated with fairness and equity, to know that they have a story and should be remembered. 815 and counting. Last thing I'll share for self-care is this. We have to go out with a story that remembers, specifically to the young men in this space, it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to not be okay. We have to remember that it's not a weakness to ask for help. It's not a weakness to get therapy. It's not a weakness to be in counseling. It's not a weakness, but it's a strength. And so to our young men and our older men in this space, asking for help is a sign of strength. And let's celebrate that as we remember Jordan Neely's life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that grounding, Pastor Jack, as always. And we always appreciate a good calling out and calling in, so you're in the right crowd. That being said, I'm going to have us move forward with the rest of our co-conspirators and allies and people in this space. I want to bring in my brother in the movement, Edwin Santana from the Freedom Agenda.
When I say justice, you say for Jordan. Justice! For Jordan! Justice! For Jordan! I'm standing here today to represent Freedom Agenda, community organizer. My name is Edwin Santana. And I struggle to say something today, right? And I think what I want to say is that Jordan Neely was a human being. That's right. Say that again. Jordan Neely was a human being. Regardless of his homelessness, his unemployment and mental health status, regardless of all that, he was a human being. And he, like everyone else says, he was failed by the city. We live in one of the most richest cities in the world, and we failed him. I heard the mayor say something the other day. I don't know if you heard him, but I heard him. I heard the mayor say that Jordan didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to die. But guess what, Mayor? You failed him because he died under your watch.
That's right.
While he's out there, dancing merengue and salsa on the street, this is happening to New Yorkers all over the place.
That's right.
Jordan Neely was murdered, just like you are, and you fell. So just like you are failing the rest of the unhoused people on the streets today, just like you are failing those individuals on Rikers Island, because Jordan Neely spent 15 months on Rikers Island.
Come on.
I am a survivor of Rikers Island. And I can just imagine how his mental health was, right? After surviving that again and again. So that's another reason why we need to close Rikers. That's another reason why we need to invest in real resources for all the... But hold up. But the governor and the mayor says no. They don't want that. Well, guess what, Hoku and Adam? It's not a secret that Jordan Neely's death was a result of policy choices created to fail all black and brown human beings. Make no mistake about it. Jordan Neely, make no mistake about it, Jordan Neely was pushed to the side and dehumanized. But where's the accountability for that?
Where's the accountability?
Where is it? We need to end anti-blackness.
Come on.
We need to stop criminalizing homelessness. We need to stop the fear-mongering. And they need to stop thinking we're stupid.
Right.
We're not stupid.
We're not never been dumb.
We are all human beings, as was Jordan Neely. So let's invest in real resources for everyone in the city and state. Let's shut down the last penal colony in the United States called Torture Island. And let's see justice for Jordan.
Justice! Thank you so much for that, Brother Santana. Up next, I'm going to have a sister in the movement. One mic. One mic. One mic, y'all. One mic. We can do it. We're going to have our sister, Khadijah, join us from YCL. Woo! this is a structural problem. This is a problem of white supremacy. This is a problem of patriarchy, and this is a problem of capital. And we have to uproot this system if we all want to get these things done. If we don't want there to be any more mass dispossession, mass genocide of black and brown people in general and black men in particular. Because this system cannibalizes black men and eats black men alive. Black people, we are left to be devoured by this system. It is not only a problem of mental health, it is a problem that seeks to destroy us. It is a problem where many black and brown people walking the streets are mentally ill. And now they're saying that you deserve to die because you're poverty ridden. And they put you in this situation on purpose. It is a strategic measure, and we have to uproot this thing. We have to uproot the evil inherent within this system. There's no reforming this system in the long term. This system must be done away with if we need something better. And I'm also here to say that Adam spoke yesterday to the fact that he was sad that Jordan Neely passed. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about he was being murdered. Not only do we have to call for the indictment, which is also an abolitionist demand, do not forget that. Not only do we have to call for the indictment of Daniel Penny, but we have to call for the indictment of Eric Adams. We have to call for the indictment of Governor Hochul. We have to call for these things. And I, for one, know firsthand the issues and the horrors of dispossession. So I'm here to say it is an interconnected issue with wages. Wages are what? They raised it to $70. Where the hell can you get an apartment for fucking $17 an hour? Where? Not here. So today we're calling for the justice of Jordan Neely. We're calling for the justice of all our black and brown people. We need revolutionary demands. We need real demands. And we need to uproot this system, and we need to do away with the jails. Thank you. Please give that sister a better round of applause today. Thank you. And just so you all know, this is not unique to New York City or New York State.
No.
At all.
The country.
It's happening all over the country. And the person I'm going to bring up next is going to speak to the fact that this is a national phenomenon of dehumanizing people experiencing homelessness, criminalizing poverty, and spreading lethal narratives. That said, I would like you to give a warm welcome to Alex Maddock of the National Homeless Law Center. Give it up for Alex.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. It's an honor to be here and be invited to share this space with so many amazing hearts and minds. I am an attorney at the National Homelessness Law Center, but I actually split half my time with the Western Regional Advocacy Project, or WRAP, an organizing group on the West Coast. And what both organizations have in common is that we really keep a national vantage point of what's going on with the criminalization of homelessness across this country. All right, I'm just going to keep going.
Keep going.
And so we want to add some of that to this conversation. And one of the things that we want to say straight up is it is certain from our perspective that the murder of Jordan Neely, the public lynching of Jordan Neely in broad daylight, is absolutely the direct and predictable result of a calculated nationwide campaign of racialized, state-sanctioned violence.
Say that again.
A coordinated national campaign of racialized, state-sanctioned violence that aims to dehumanize and erase poor and unhoused people from our public space, especially when those folks are black and brown.
Come on.
We have been tracking this campaign as it has ravaged communities across this country for decades, and what we know is that it is getting worse. This is how it plays out. Cities and states which are under intense pressure from elite private right-wing entities like the Cicero Institute, like the League of Cities. They are responding with increased fervor every day to the rise of homelessness and poverty within their borders, not by addressing the structural problems that led to homelessness and poverty, but rather by doing two things. One, passing laws that make it criminal to be poor in public, and two, funneling more and more money into the police and other carceral apparatuses that are necessary for enforcing those laws. That includes, by the way, apparatuses like forced hospitalization and so-called mental health treatment, like we're seeing in the Defenders Law and like we're seeing in California with care courts and all across this country. And so we need to remember that it is essential to get these laws passed and to justify the hefty price tag that comes with their enforcement mechanisms, that public officials create this public ethos of mass hysteria and fear that call on us, all of us, to really believe that a poor black man in public space is a deadly threat. And it is that ethos that deputizes the Daniel Pennies of the world to take matters into their own hands, to become vigilantes on behalf of this state project, and to do the work of disappearing black and brown people from our communities. It's not right, and unfortunately it's not an isolated event. This kind of fatal vigilantism is happening across this country every day. Poor and unhoused people, particularly people of color, are terrorized by it every single day. And as people have already uplifted, the sort of campaign that public officials use to pass these agendas is not only perpetuating this violence, but it is exonerating the people who commit it. And so I just want to end by saying that we really need to do what everyone today is calling for, and to hold these public officials accountable to the world that they've created, and to force them to stop this campaign where they continue to sacrifice the bodies of poor people, of black and brown people, of hungry people, of tired people at the altar of elite, wealthy, private interests.
Thank you! Woo! Alex, thank you so much for putting that into perspective. Repeat after me. 815? 815. And counting. And counting. 815? 815. And counting. And counting. Damn shame. That being said, we're going to wrap up with our last bit of speakers, but I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the individuals who stand alongside the community, who work with the community, who are from the community, and fight tirelessly to put the needs of the community at the forefront each and every day. That said, I want to acknowledge our elected officials who are standing alongside us. It's not often that we stand alongside elected officials, say the same thing, and only one group is left standing in the end. So I really want to commend each and every one of y'all for taking the time to be here, to be patient, to hear from the people. It's important. This is how we know you're with us. I can't say that enough. So I want to acknowledge Sandy Nurse, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Crystal Richardson Jordan. Councilwoman Shahana Shanice. Councilwoman Karina Sanchez. Councilwoman Crystal Hudson. And Assemblywoman Malik Chandler Waterman. Thank you. And if I missed anyone, I apologize, but we just want to extend our grace for you sharing space with us. That said, I want to call up Kristen Richardson Jordan to share a couple of words. She walking from Harlem? It's all good, I know. So we'll carry on. She may be around somewhere, it's all right. I'm going to call up Sandy Nurse. Come on, Sandy. Nurse. Represent her Brownsville. Good afternoon.
violence or injustice goes unchecked. I'm just really happy to be here with you all who are constantly fighting for justice, who are constantly trying to hold the city accountable. And I don't know, I just really wanted to be here with you all. I didn't have too much more profound to say. I guess for me, this incident just continues to underscore that white supremacy kills. It continues to underscore that white supremacy is terrorism. And it's terrorism because at any moment, at any time, somebody's life could be killed. It's the fact that white people in this country, since the beginning of this country, since before this country was codified into any kind of law, that white people have felt entitled to physically harm, damage, subdue, lock up, and determine physically the movement and trajectory and outcomes of black people and people of color. It's a sickness. It's a cancer, and we've, for whatever reason, not been able to root it out. I know that right now in this council, most of our members are fighting really hard. We are fighting really hard for the resources. And it's such a shame that we have to beg our mayor, that we have to beg our governor for the resources needed to address the ills of white supremacy, to address hate, to address common sense solutions like housing, healthcare, mental health, just access to shit we need. Just basic shit.
Keep it real.
And it's so crazy, you know, we have so much black leadership here in this state, in this city right now, and why are we having to beg? Why are we having to fight? Why was it so hard for our mayor to just say, this was wrong? This was wrong. Immediately. Immediately. There should not have to be a thought about it. That man was choked out by a vigilante who thought he was entitled to step in and determine what to do about someone who was having a breakdown. It's a sickness, and it's happening all over this country. I'm ashamed. I'm disappointed. I want better for all of us. I know you all do too. We're going to keep fighting. We need to fight for a budget that has the resources to address housing, to provide mental health care for people, food security, health care for people to age in place, for black people to age and be old. We need to do better. And I know that's what you all fight for. I know this is the choir community that's doing it every day. We need to expand. We need to see more money in anti-hate work. We need to have more people know what to do in a situation. Because seeing someone with a foot on a chest, a foot on a neck in a chokehold should always, always impel everybody to intervene. And you need to know how to do it safely. We should be teaching you how to do that. So I just want to say thank you all for holding this space. It is a loving space. I know it is all about love here for black people, for people of color, for poor people who don't have shit. I know that's what the intention here is. Say thank you so much for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, last I knew I was the one with the mic, but thank y'all. I appreciate it. We just want to speed this up. Whatever y'all do after that and after I get my son home is up to y'all, all right? But I'm on mommy mode time today, and it will happen. That said, folks, I would like to bring up Assemblywoman, Channel Waterman. Thank you so much for being here.
I just want to say thank you to the organizers. Thank you to Vocal for always being vocal when it comes to New Yorkers. I want to thank all the advocates. I want to thank my colleagues here. I'm standing here with, I cover District 58 in Brooklyn, East Flatbush, Canarsie, Brownsville, and Crown Heights. And when I took office, I was a mental health advocate already.
as an elected official, we have got the voices of the community. Those with lived experience, our peer specialists, those impacted, the trauma we go through every day. Jordan Neely is our brother. Jordan Neely is our cousin. Jordan Neely is our family. Don't wait till it gets to your door to make a decision of change. We gotta do it now. We shouldn't be begging for respite centers. We shouldn't be begging for expansion of 30 days. 7 days is not enough. Before we get in crisis, we need clubhouses. But guess what? My community is Caribbean, Black, and Brown. I need a clubhouse that reflects my community members, grassroots, local organizers on the ground with no funding. We shouldn't be begging for affordable housing. That's a human right. We should not just tell you you're thirsty. You should never be thirsty or hungry. And when you are upset, and when you go and do something, I yell it out. I say I'm hungry. I say I'm thirsty for resources. I say I'm tired of this. I feel I can't go on. Do I deserve to be dead? We don't deserve to be killed. Jordan Neely life matters. We need to have intentional resources. We can't just keep on throwing beds at a situation where we don't have mental health professionals in our hospitals. We need family-centered, community-centered, person-centered care. As a family member witnessing my family in crisis, we need resources for our family members. We get better when we have family support, when we have love. We can't forget the community. We shouldn't have to beg for resources. Everyone deserves to be safe, to have compassion, to have care, and to have love. The trigger was pulled day one when we got to suffer in our community. So let's not go through this anymore. We stand with you as an elected official. I stand with you as a sister, as a mother, as a human being. Unfortunately, we had to go through this situation. We didn't have to. But we call him our mayor, our governor. We shouldn't have to be haggling over pennies. We need the resources. We should have been gathering task force a long time ago, Mayor. Don't wait for Jordan to die. Then now we're trying to figure it out. We have policies, we have plans that's been rejected. The advocates are telling you, listen to the people. So I stand before you today, strong and with you in solidarity. And we're going to do what we can. And what we're doing in Brooklyn may be a small little feat, but we're making sure we do the outreach, we're making sure we get 988, because we need to be trained, destigmatize and decriminalize mental health conditions. Thank you so much. In love, you're a kid of Federal Woman. So we're about to wrap up. Like I said, we're dwindling down to our last bit of speakers. I want to share with folks. I don't know if everyone got a chance. We did distribute some flowers because right behind here we have a symbolic visual that we set up. And over there we will have one of our leaders repeats a poem that is near and dear to their hearts, one of our directly impacted leaders. And then we will lay those flowers there. Before we wrap up, I apologize because I failed to call up one of our speakers. But Dr. Steve, if you are here, we would love for you to join us. Thank you for being in solidarity with us. Thank you for being a co-conspirator in this work and being able to speak to this from a medical perspective. Thank you. Give it a round of applause from everyone.
So I will keep it tight and brief. So I'm here. Who else is from the healthcare community who's here today? Doctors, nurses, social workers, other mental health workers. You all in the house, raise your hands, yes. Now we're here because we know that it doesn't have to be this way. There are models of care that already exist. They need to be funded. They need to be supported. I have here a death certificate for the 815 and more New Yorkers whose cause of death has an actual medical code. We call it the ICD. Neglect and abandonment. Conserved. That's the cause of death. It doesn't have to be this way. To my fellow white, middle and upper middle class, working class friends, family members, if you want public safety, what is public safety? Public safety is health care. Public safety is mental health care. It's affordable housing. It's education. It's violence interruption. So that when you see a vigilante lynching, you can safely intervene. Or maybe even it wouldn't happen. We need reentry services, we need supportive treatment, we need jobs at a living wage. So there's stuff out there that we need. Daniel's Law, for example, non-police response for mental health crisis, but it needs to be fully funded. So again, and at the end of the day, we also, representing the New York Doctors Coalition, Physicians for National Health Program, we also need the New York Health Act to pass. As part of fully funding medical care, mental health care in a completely integrated fashion, accessible, no out-of-pocket costs for everybody. And again, I just want to say, folks, it doesn't have to be this way. The funding is there. The last 45 years, there has been a deliberate political policy to move income and wealth to the top 0.01% and away from all the rest of us. Deliberate, specific political economic policies over the last 45 years. It doesn't have to be this way. Let's make the change, and also let's be the change. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone today for speaking, sharing their time, their space, body, community, all of that. We know that we keep us safe. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that we also had Councilwoman Alexa Aviles here. So thank you so much. And also, I'm not sure if Ms. Day is still around, but I also just want to acknowledge her, the Harlem community, and the amazing work that I know that she's doing out there. So I just want to appreciate you and thank y'all for being here. That said, folks, we have wrapped up our talk for today. I hope